competitors. So what we are saying is that positioning is simply aim at what a brand occupying a distinct position in the mind of a consumer relative to that of competitors. That is, making your brand occupy a space in the mind of the consumer. So he will be able to recognize your product, as a matter of fact, choose your product over competing brands. Now, let's talk about the various types of positioning strategies that are available in marketing. But before we talk about that, we need to understand the fact that positioning emphasizes on what? Distinguishing features, creating an image, okay, for example, premium brand, a luxury brand, etc., in the mind of the customer. Right, so it's about your brand occupying a space in the mind of the customer. There are several positioning strategies or positioning techniques. Let's look at some of the basic ones. Let's look at positioning by pricing. Some organizations or some businesses use pricing as a strategy to position their brand or their product. So, for example, the organization or the company tries to get the brand on the mind of the consumer using price. So, for example, they may develop a brand mantra or a strapline, for example, as the best product money can buy, or live well for less, or buy and save, right? A dollar saver, a CV saver, etc. These stripe lines, as a matter of fact, communicate the fact that the company is positioning its brand on pricing. So that is positioning by pricing. You can position by using price to make your product occupy a distinct position on the mind of the consumer using pricing. So you can be the lowest cost producer, or you can be the position to be the highest cost brand on the market. Right, so you either position as a low cost or as a high cost. That is the price positioning strategy. Then we have the product class strategy. This is where the brand is positioned as or to a particular class. The brand is positioned to a particular class, right? It's positioned to a particular product class. For example, the product claims that his is different from the rest, right? So, for example, a producer of Weight Watchers can position its Weight Watchers against caloric foods by saying that his is much healthier than the caloric foods. So, product class, that's where the product is positioning to a particular product class, claiming that that particular brand or product is different from the rest. So, for example, like I said, a Weight Watcher brand could position itself against a caloric brand by saying that its product or its brand is much healthier than the caloric brands. Right, and then we have positioning by product use or application. You know, products are used in different applications and use and in times. This can also be another strategy that can be used to position a product or a brand. Products are positioned to a specific use or application. So, for example, a company that is producing breakfast can position its breakfast, or which is producing cereals can position its cereals to be a breakfast cereal. Okay, so application that is being used for a particular during a particular time of day or for something, right? Some can also position their brands as every time of the day brand. However, some of these things can also differ when the company is going international, where a certain product might be positioned in a particular country as a bedside drink and positioned as a nutritional supplement or a food supplement in another region or in another country. So positioning by product use or product application simply means that the product is positioned to a specific use or application. So like I said, example, a food producer can position its product as a breakfast brand, or position its brand or product as every time of the day brand or product. So this is how positioning by product use or application actually works. Another strategy is to position against competition. Positioning against competition, where a brand claims to be number two and tries harder, or position itself as second to none, right? Or position itself as the number one brand or the number, and so on and so forth. So with this, the brand is positioned against the competing brands, claiming its real position on the marketplace, either number two or number three. So for example, the brand can position itself about we are number two, so we try harder, right? So that is positioning against competition. Then we have positioning by product benefit. This is where the product or the brand is positioned according to the benefit that the customer or the consumer gains. The product description or the descriptor here is that the brand talks about or position itself to be solving a particular problem. So for example, a toothpaste brand can position itself as a fighter against what? Cavities, right? Maybe targeting kids, right? So fighting against cavities, right? With this, you realize that the benefits that the customer will get is the fight against cavity. So the brand is then positioned against the eradication of cavity within a particular segment. And then we have the celebrity-driven positioning, where you use celebrities to endorse the brand or as a spokesperson for the brand. The goal of this is to garner or to generate awareness and recognition by associating the brand with a celebrity or someone who has what we call a referring power, where people respect or people love, or somebody whom people love because of what he does, because of his fame, because of whatever he does. He has an influence on the target market. And this particular type of positioning actually works with very famous people, celebrities, athletes, musicians, film actors, and the rest. So that's celebrity-driven positioning. Right, then we have positioning by product user. With this particular strategy, the user of the product is here or is in question. The class of user. When we talk of class of user, we are not saying social class as in talking about middle class, upper class. But we are looking at, for example, a group of people that share a particular characteristics. So for example, a paint manufacturer can position its brand or its product as the paint for professionals. So the professionals here is the class. A product or a brand can also position itself against sporting activities or against sportsmen. Maybe it could be a drink, an energy drink, or a soft drink. Can position itself against a particular sports fraternity. That is what we mean by positioning by product user or associating the product with a particular class of user. So these are the basic positioning strategies. And there's one thing you should know, as we said earlier in the definition of positioning. Positioning aims to get the brand on the mind of the consumer. And this involves designing communications and using what we call the brand mantra or what we call the strap line. The strap lines send a message or a communication to the target audience, and this then keeps the brand onto the long-term memory of the consumer. It also looks at the fact that the product needs to discriminate against other competing brands using its features and what makes it distinct on the market. So this ends our topic on segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and subscribe. The brand is Fox Business. Watch out for my next video. Thank you very much.